Today on Power Women of Queens, Luchia Dragosh meets Victoria Schnapps Eunice, publisher and CEO of Schnapps Communications, the largest publisher of newspapers and magazines in the borough of Queens. Her valuable and unique experience makes her a role model that many young girls look up to.
And I worked from my house, he worked from his house. We sold every ad, we wrote every article, we took every photo, we took no salary for 2 years, and we launched the Queens Courier.
Then Luchia chats with Susan Agin, Executive and Artistic Director of Queensboro Performing Arts Center. Being a performer herself, Susan sets a great example for young aspiring performers as well as coaching them in how to audition for the musical theater.
Most of the performers I know, certainly everybody has bills to pay, but the ones that really yearn for this kind of career do so because they know the kind of impact that they're having on people.
So it's a premiere, really, of sorts.
It's a premiere of sorts, and a work in progress for what will be part of a bigger musical that he's doing. The choreographer and the creator is Stephen Cardona, and he's also the associate director this year of the whole musical theater program.
6, 7, you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
QPTV presents Power Women of Queens, a series that highlights the everyday female decision maker, political leader, manager, and scientist as the norm, not the exception. The women featured are everyday women, mothers, wives, sisters, and co-workers whose actions have contributed to the Queens community. More than 26 years ago, Victoria Schnapps started a local newspaper, the Queens Courier, in her living room. Today, Schnapps Communications publishes over 19 newspapers and magazines with award-winning art and editorial departments.
You have this incredible career in the media industry, and you have inspired so many people along the way. But I'm sure it all started with a single idea. What was that idea in the beginning?
Well, my life has been a very big steeplechase, and roller coaster is the right word, roller coaster. Because when my daughter Lara was born in 1968, she turned blue in the nursery. And what happened is that she was discharged saying she's fine, but within 3 months she started having these eyes flickering motions. And when I took her for a checkup, the doctor said, "These are seizures, we've got to get her into the hospital." So when she was 3 months old, we began the search to find out what was the problem, what was causing the seizures. And this search really began when she was 3 months old and continued for about a year. And the doctors finally said if she's going to be better, she needs intensive physical and occupational therapy. And there was no place in the community. So we had heard about a place called Willowbrook, which was an institution on Staten Island. And Willowbrook had just built $1 million infant rehabilitation center. And so with much fear and trepidation, I brought Lara to Willowbrook. And my neighbors said, "Vicki, there for the grace of God go I. Let me help you. Let's start an organization to help the people at Willowbrook and raise money for the Willowbrook." So we started WORC, Women's Organization for Retarded Children, in 1971. And we sent busloads of volunteers, and we sent thousands of dollars buying things for the folks that lived there. And then the budget was slashed by the governor. And my lovely ladies became marchers and picketers because we were incensed and we didn't know what else to do. But we were knocking on air until a young man by the name of Geraldo Rivera brought his cameras into the back wards at Willowbrook. And Geraldo told the story from his heart. And he used me as the mother who was trying to get help for my daughter Lara. And so I was on TV constantly with him. And then with Barbara Walters on the Today Show. And then I was on with Sue Simmons. And then I was on with Gabe Pressman once, each of them. But Geraldo, he stayed with the story. And from that huge outpouring came a federal class action lawsuit that we filed, and my daughter was a named plaintiff, and we won that case, and Willowbrook is now closed, and all the group homes that exist today, all the day programs came out of this Willowbrook consent decree.
Inspired by the power of the press during her advocacy work on behalf of her daughter, Miss Schnapps pursued her dream of being in the news business. She started a neighborhood newspaper in her Bayside living room with a partner and a $250 investment. The Queens Courier was chosen as one of the top 10 newspapers in New York State and their website as #1 for 2 years by the New York State Press Association.
If you single out one quality, would it be the passion or the optimism? What would be one quality?
Well, I think first hard work.
Hard work. Yeah.
Being persistent, being an optimist that anything is possible,
Yeah.
and being passionate about what you do. But without being persistent, nothing can happen.
You're a mom. How were you able to balance motherhood and career? Because
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Well, first, when I started the papers, I did live in Bayside, and I worked out of my house because I had 4 children. After Lara was born, I had 3 more children. And so actually, the newspapering worked because I was my own boss. And if I needed to go to my kids' ball game, I went. If one of the kids was sick, I stayed home. So I worked out of my home those first few years. And then I finally got an office down Bell Boulevard in Bayside, and I was within 5 minutes of my home. So if something went wrong, I was able to dash home. And then, very honestly, I got help. I had a person in the house to help me with my housekeeping and with my laundry and the things that I hated to do. And also took time so that when I was home, I was able to be with my children. But without the support system, I don't think I could have done it.
Coming up next.
I have one young mother here who comes in very early. As soon as her daughter's on the bus at 8 o'clock, she's here by 8:30 because she has to be out of here by 5 to get her daughter off the bus.
Right.
And we work around it. If she has to work from home, she'll work from home.
My parents, probably my greatest influences, they immersed me in the arts at a very young age. There were dance lessons, and I used to go around singing all the time.
The most culturally diverse city in the world now has its own show, Culture Express, hosted by Astoria, Queens native Louis Gasparo. Join QPTV and Louis on adventures in Queens and learn more about Queens art, music, history, and its people. Culture Express, only on QPTV.
When we came last time on Location Scout here in your office, I went to the kitchen and I saw a few children there. So I asked, what is going on? And Donna told me that those are the employees' children. I mean, this speaks so much about your character, who you are, that no interview, no words can describe. Because as a mom, me working for someone and knowing that I can bring my child if he's sick or if the school is closed, it lifts so much off your shoulders.
I'm a mother. I'm a mother. I get it. And now I'm a grandmother. And I just, I think when you've got, and my success, with all due respect, is built on the great people around me. And when you've got a great staff, you've got to be flexible and support them in their needs. Being, I think, a mother of 4 children and 1 child with challenges, I think I totally get that family has to come first. Right. And once you understand that, you really work with your staff. And I think people get that they have a job to do. And they do it. I have one young mother here who comes in very early. As soon as her daughter's on the bus at 8 o'clock, she's here by 8:30 because she has to be out of here by 5 to get her daughter off the bus.
Right.
And we work around it. If she has to work from home, she'll work from home.
Right.
But she'll get the job done.
That's the most important, yes.
Yes, so I've never been disappointed by any of my staff who have children and family obligations. I respect it because I feel I would need it for me.
What does it take for a woman to succeed in the media business, and does it differ than a man?
You know, I've never thought about myself being a woman in business, in the media. I think of myself as a person who's following my passion. And maybe it doesn't sound right, but I'm not even a feminist. I just do things because I do them. And I never think about, oh my God, I didn't get that because I'm a woman, or I got that because I'm a woman. Or, you know, it's never been on my radar. I just do.
Did you ever have a mentor, and do you mentor now?
Well, I hope that I'm mentoring all my staff because my master's degree is in teaching. And I am forever a teacher. And they said, that's the school teacher in you, Vicki. So I think that learning is endless. And I encourage my staff. We have meetings with our sales staff 3 times a week. And if I'm not physically here, I get on the phone with them and give them advice. You know, this week the theme is plan your day, plan ahead. So I consider that mentoring, right, because I feel that every day we should be better than the last. Yes. And I expect more of each person each day. And so they know I'm as excited about their success as they are. So I think that that's been part of my success, having people who get it about appreciating achievement and wanting to achieve.
Young girls nowadays, they have so much pressure on deciding who they want to be, what they want to do. There's peer pressure, family pressure, social, and it's confusing for them to decide. Now, how women in leadership position can influence that?
First of all, I must tell you that this career, being in the news business, is my 7th.
Wow. Okay.
So the point is that you've got to jump in to do a job that you think would light your life up. And do something that you love every day. But don't think it's forever. So you could do this job this year, but you know, opportunity came my way. If I hadn't met John Toscano in Leonard Stavisky's office, who was the assemblyman I was doing community work for, and I took the opportunity to be a reporter for $100 a week and to learn my skills with him as my mentor, I wouldn't have been in this business. It wasn't a track I had put myself on. It happened, and I took advantage of the opportunity.
What advice would you give to the 18-year-old that wants to be you in a few years?
Well, first, show up at your job, be on time, do more than's asked of you, work harder than anybody else in the office, and stand out from the crowd. It's very basic to me. Sometimes people don't get that. That's it.
Coming up next.
I had a Russian dance instructor.
Tough. Very
she
tough.
was very tough, but very encouraging.
Media professionals from all around the world have visited QPTV Studio to learn about free speech and community production. These visiting journalists are part of the International Visitor Leadership Program, which is administered by the U.S. Department of State. The purpose of the IVLP is to build a bridge of understanding between nations that support the foreign policy goals of the U.S. and that reflect the professional interests of the participants. QPTV is proud of what we have accomplished with the IVLP.
Susan Agin is a member of Actors Equity Association, the Association of Performing Arts Presenters, and has received the cantorial investiture from the Division of Sacred Music of the Rabbinical Academy in Woodmere, New York. Susan developed the first dance exercise program from the Renfrew Center, a clinic for eating disorders. She's also created a special interest dance program for the children of the Central Park East Second School in Harlem. As an executive and artistic director of the Queensboro Performing Arts Center, she creates programs to expand public access to the arts for everyone.
Here, we really have our own sort of Hall of Fame here. We're so proud to have hosted performances by so many award-winning performers, Tony Award winners, Oscar winners, and so forth. Just to name a few, we have, of course, the Broadway superstar Ben Vereen here, Betty Buckley, Mandy Patinkin, and of course, 60s superstar Davy Jones, who performed here. Let me show you another one.
I see Joan Rivers. When was she here?
Joan Rivers was here in 2011, and she writes, "Show business is great, much love." Joan Rivers.
Show business is great.
That's right. She really loved to work. In fact, she said that the worst day for her was the day that she was not working. She always liked to stay busy, and she liked a calendar that was completely full. And she was one of the hardest working people in show business, that's for sure. And as we walk to the theater, you'll find some other posters on our wall. Here's one, of course, of Dionne Warwick, who was just here in 2012. And let's see what she writes. It was really
Early.
It was
early?
early. Yeah, that's
Early.
right. It was a matinee. It was a matinee.
Oh, okay.
And I think she prefers to perform in the evening.
Oh,
it was
wow.
early, but it was a ball. Thanks, and hope to see you again, Dionne Warwick.
I could not read that. You developed a dance therapy program for children with eating disorders. How that came about?
Actually, it was a program for adults, and someone had reached out to me because they knew that I had a background in dance, and they thought it might be a good idea to get their clients moving. And what made it work is that dance is so adaptable. In other words, you don't have to be a ballerina in order to get the benefits from dancing. And also, not everything has to be done full out, as we say. You don't have to do these high kicks all the time or these turns. You could work with a client, for example, who might not be able to walk very well. So we can adapt dance so that they're actually moving and doing things just sitting in their chair. And so that's why dance works so well as a method of physical therapy, say, because it is adaptable and you can still utilize it and people can still have fun without it being too intimidating for anyone.
So when did you start working in QPAC? Was it right after?
I have a very varied background. I have a master's degree actually in education, and I was working in a school, and of course the arts programs were cut because they are usually the first types of programs to get cut. And so when you have someone who has a background in something arts related, very often that person is asked to utilize their arts background. And so that's really what happened. I was working in a school and they had become aware that I had a background in the arts. And before I knew it, I was giving, tap dancing lessons to these kids, and it was really fabulous. It's interesting. I've had a lot of sort of different jobs throughout my career, but my background in the arts has always somehow been the constant. Wherever I've worked, somehow my background in the arts, in music, in dance, in theater, and so forth, has always been the constant and has always been something that I've drawn upon no matter where I was working. And so it's led me to this job.
Coming up next.
She really encouraged me to express myself, introduced me to all different forms of dance and so forth. And now having a career in the arts, I do recognize the role she played in my love for the arts, you know.
The most culturally diverse city in the world now has its own show, Culture Express, hosted by Astoria, Queens native Louis Gasparo. Join QPTV and Louis on adventures in Queens and learn more about Queens' art, music, history, and its people. Culture Express, only on QPTV.
I have a dancer's background, and we never had mentors per se, but Maya Plisetsky was, she's a Russian ballerina, was our idol. So we always strive to do better and better to reach that level. So I think mentorship is very important for someone to guide you, to oversee you. Did you have a mentor when you were growing up, or someone who guided you to become a performer, or you always knew you wanted to do that?
Well, you know, I would have to say that my parents, probably my greatest influences, they immersed me in the arts at a very young age. You know, there were dance lessons, and you know, I used to go around singing all the time, and they allowed me opportunities to perform in public, and it was something that really drew me in. Mm-hmm. I was, you know, they took me to the theater, which was invaluable to me. And what's nice about being on a college campus is that the students can see any of our shows for free. So these are opportunities that I know will affect them throughout their lives. And so I was immersed in the arts at a very young age, and the experiences I learned, whether it was in a dance class and so forth, these experiences stayed with me throughout my career, because there's so much you can gain from having a passion and from taking these types of classes and so forth. It aids in your confidence, in learning how to socialize, in learning how to express yourself and things like that. And those lessons stayed with me. And there was also, I had a dance instructor. You talk about dance. I had a Russian dance instructor.
Tough. Very
she
tough.
was very tough, but very encouraging at the same time. And everything has sort of come full circle, because she really encouraged me to express myself, introduced me to all different forms of dance and so forth. And now having a career in the arts, I do recognize the role she played in my love for the arts, you know.
Coming up next.
You know, everybody likes what they see, and unfortunately, to some, it appears to be very easy to do what we do on stage, but it is very difficult.
The most culturally diverse city in the world now has its own show, Culture Express, hosted by Astoria, Queens native Louis Gasparo. Join QPTV and Louis on adventures in Queens and learn more about Queens' art, music, history, and its people. Culture Express, only on QPTV.
This is Robert Laconi of the Theater Arts Center, and they've been residing here every summer for the past, how many years?
13 years.
Has it been 13 years? And we love having them here, and what they do, the work they do with the students is just outrageous. Bob, will you tell me a little bit about what we're going to see, what they're working on today?
We're going to see a rehearsal for the senior company, which is our oldest group of actors and singers, dancers in the musical theater program. And this year they're performing, one of our Broadway choreographers is coming in and putting a original piece on them. He wrote some of the music and obviously choreographed it, so it's a brand new piece that they have an opportunity to work on before it's probably going to be off Broadway in the fall.
So it's a premiere, really, of sorts.
It's a premiere of sorts and a work in progress for what will be part of a bigger musical that he's doing. So we're really excited about that. The choreographer and the creator is Stephen Cardona, and he's also the associate director this year of the whole musical theater program.
6, 7, you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, 6, jump, 7, 8. Walk, 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 walk. Jump, jump, step, hop, step, hop. Great. On the jump, can you really keep it down? 1, 2, yeah.
What is one thing, if you want the students that you mentor to take away from that program, what would be?
Can I give you two things?
Yes, yes.
I think that they have to remain realistic, you know. Very often you have that, hey, let's put on a show attitude. You have, everybody likes what they see. And unfortunately, to some, it appears to be very easy to do what we do on stage. But it is very difficult. So I would tell them to remain realistic, that it is a tremendous amount of work, and to remain determined.
Develop thick skin
and
for rejection.
That's for certain. That's for certain. That's
Yes.
for certain. Not to be discouraged. So it's sort of a happy balance. You've got to remain realistic, but you should also try to remain
Optimistic.
right? Determined.
Sort of have a soft heart so you can perform and give your heart out, but also have a thick skin.
Absolutely right. It's
For the
not
rejection.
easy. It's not easy.
It's not
It takes
easy,
a
but-
special individual to be
Right.
able to do that.
In the ballet, I remember they were saying they did not allow us to say I can't. You have to say I don't want. So that changes your perspective. She tells you to do an attitude or to spin. And just about when you want to say I can't, I don't want to. And then, okay, that means I have to try again.
That's right.
So you got to try and make it seem seamless and easy.
I'll tell you one other quick story, because you keep bringing to mind all these different experiences that we share with the students. We had a class come in who they were studying how to become massage therapists, and we had them work on the dancers before they performed. And I remember one student questioning the prima ballerina, where does it hurt? And her answer was, everywhere. And I just, for a minute, you feel bad, but at the same time you realize what it meant to her to be able to do what she felt so passionate about. And so that kind of determination, you could apply to any career.